Pentatonic scales are one of the most prevalent bits of musical stuff in our world, and you may know a lot about them, but do you really know how they sound? Can you hear a melody and immediately tell if it is pentatonic? Can you easily and intuitively play a pentatonic tune on your instrument? And if you can do that, can you play it in other keys? In today's video, you are going to get the sound of the major and minor pentatonic scales in your ear, some facts about the scales, a short model tune you can use to internalize the sound, and a straightforward way to play pentatonic melodies by ear. When you're done, you'll be noticing pentatonic scales in your favorite music, creating melodies in your mind, and playing them on your instrument, whatever that might be. I'm Hans at tuneindigo.com. Let's get started. Pentatonic scales are everywhere. In fact, just this morning, I was listening to the local college radio station, which was playing country music, and it was pentatonic. Then I went into the drugstore to buy toothpaste, and pop music on the system, it was pentatonic. Pentatonic music can be heard in folk music from around the world, from the British Isles to Africa to Asia and Appalachia, and it's a super duper important part of American music, jazz, blues, R&B, and pop. Once you get the sound of it really in your ear, you'll probably notice that much of your favorite music uses it. So before we get into the sound of it, here are some facts about the pentatonic scale. Like its name suggests, it is a scale with 5 notes. And you can take the major diatonic scale and remove the 4th note, fa, and the 7th note, ti, to make a pentatonic scale. We can think of the minor pentatonic as the major pentatonic, but centering around la instead of do. Pentatonic scales are harmonically very stable. You can actually make it by stacking up a ladder of perfect fifths. And the first 5 fifths you get, that makes the pentatonic scale. This stability makes it a very useful ingredient when creating simple and complex harmonic music. On the simple side, almost any melody in the pentatonic scale can be sung in canon with itself because there are no tension notes, no half steps, as you would have in the 7-note scale. Now, getting a little more sophisticated, we often harmonize pentatonic melodies with diatonic, that's 7-note scale harmonies. To this point, there are really only 2 triads in the pentatonic scale, the chord built on do and the one built on la. So that would be a major chord and a minor chord. On the more advanced side, the pentatonic scales are very useful in improvisation. Now, on a very basic level, if you're in the key of C major, you can play the C major pentatonic. But also you can use pentatonics over more advanced chords. So that's beyond the scope of this video because we're really focusing on the basics of hearing the pentatonic scale. But comment if you want to hear more about things like using the D major pentatonic scale to express a C major 7 sharp 11, or how to create interlocking 5th ascending pentatonic scales like this. But none of those facts are going to root your ear and your heart in the pentatonic scale. I could talk all day, and I like to talk all day about how cool and sophisticated you can get with collections of pitches like the pentatonic scale. But none of it will advance your ear and help you play your music intuitively. So I've composed a little model pentatonic tune with drop-dead simple lyrics to get your ear inside the pentatonic scales. I composed it to feature a few common patterns that you're going to hear in pentatonic music, and once I teach you the song, I'll show you the patterns and how to play them on your instrument. Here it goes. In the morning light, in the morning light, in the morning light we see. Night has come and gone, night has come and gone. In the morning light we see. In the morning light, in the morning light, in the morning light we see. Night has come and gone, night has come and gone. In the morning light we see. There you go. Now, that's my take on a simple song composed in the pentatonic scales, as it goes major and minor, in a way that reveals some of the fundamental elements of the pentatonic scale. I totally encourage you to go out and find your own model song or even create your own. You don't have to use mine at all. You don't have to use mine at all. But I have put those elements in so they'll jump out at you in other songs. I also harmonized it in two ways to kind of demonstrate how colorful you can make the harmonies, even though the pentatonic scale stale. It's not stale. It's not the pentatonic scale. It's the pentatonic scale, and it can sound very rich with lush colors underneath it that don't obey the pentatonic scale. Now I'll sing it for you in solfège, which starts to reveal the sound. Remember, if you're thinking even a little bit in solfège, and that would mean just like seeking do here and there, noticing the sound of different tonal degrees, the scale steps, it just continues to make connections in your mind, which then just pop right out. You never have to think about musical mnemonic or intervals because the notes in the scale start to just announce themselves. So here's the song in solfège. Sol, la, do, re, mi, sol, la, do, re, do, sol, la, do, re, mi, sol, la, sol, mi, mi, re, do, mi, re, do, la, sol, la, sol, la, do, re, mi, sol, la, do, re, do, sol, la, do, re, mi, sol, la, sol, mi, mi, re, do, mi, re, do, la, sol, do. Now that you've heard the song with lyrics and in solfège, here's how it reveals the pentatonic scale and some of its key features. First, it starts on so, la, do, which you're going to hear in a lot of blues and jazz. For example, Lester Leaps In by Count Basie. It starts so, la, do. There's a lot of bass lines in Motown that go. I think that's Rescue Me. So we got so, la, do. Now you could take that little bit and just chew on it for a week. You could create your own music that just goes so, la, do, la, so. Take some very simple lyrics, whatever you want to do to chew on that. Now, do, re, mi, sol, la. That is just the major pentatonic scale running from do, re, mi, sol, la, running from do all the way up to la. And if you continue, the next note is do. Moving ahead, another pattern that's in there, other than the many, many mi, re, do patterns, start hearing that, and that jumps out at you in all sorts of songs. You've got la, sol, mi, which has a little bit of minor, but also drives home to major. And now the end of the first part, do, la, sol, la, leaves us feeling like we've landed in minor, because we've landed in minor. But then at the end of the second part, do, la, so, do. Those two phrases highlight how easy it is in the pentatonic scale to lean from major to leaning into the minor. Right? And you can stay in both. In fact, you can end pentatonics on any note of the pentatonic scale. A lot of Appalachian songs end on so. And that's the final note. So you've got a lot of flexibility when creating and singing in the pentatonic scale. Let's get into learning a song in the pentatonic scale. I'm going to show you the process with this little model song, and then you can apply it to any song. Okay, so learning to sing in solfège is the key that unlocks any music for you to play by ear. Once you can do it in solfège and you understand your major and minor scales, the sky's the limit. Now, before you learn a song by ear, you want to decide if it's a pentatonic song. And if you do, if it is, then you can eliminate 2 notes from the major scale. So, for example, I wrote this in E flat. So we'll walk through it in E flat. Now, here's the E flat major scale. Right, it goes do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And it's got fa, and it's got ti. Now, if you hear either of those tones, like if you hear a fa, mi, or a ti, do, then you know it's not a completely pentatonic song. Now, I will say that a lot of melodies are mostly in pentatonic, and then they'll have an occasional ti or an occasional fa, mi. And you can look to a lot of Irish and English melodies for that feature. So you're going to listen for fa and ti. Once you get the sound of a pentatonic in your ear, you'll find that those kinds of melodies jump out at you right all over the place, like when I was buying my toothpaste. They're just there, and you listen and you kind of hum along, and you realize, oh, that's another pentatonic scale song. There are too many to even mention. You're going to seek half steps, which is the distance from fa to mi and from ti to do. And of course, the pentatonic scale has no half steps, which is pretty cool. That idea on its own is a new one to you. Please, please, please drop a question in the comments, and I'll get straight to answering it for you. Now let's connect it to an instrument. I'll show you how to play a pentatonic melody on your instrument, and I'll be demonstrating on the keyboard, but the same thing applies for any instrument. We'll be using this model in the morning light here. But you can do this with any melody you love. In fact, you probably ought to do it with a melody that you really like instead of the one that I'm serving up here. But maybe you like this one. I don't know. So a really, really important part of the process is having the melody you want to play internalized enough so that you can sing it accurately on your own. Now, if you were a shyer singer, that's fine. Just hum it. But the important thing is that you have a clear enough picture in your mind to imagine it clearly and make it come out of your voice. I found that when I was first learning, and I was terrible, what I would do is I would just kind of poke around and hope that some of the notes would come out. And then I would just hope that it would magically happen. And when it didn't happen, I totally beat up on myself. And I just felt like I must be terrible because other people can just do this by ear without even seeming to try. I didn't realize there was a method behind it. Now I've unlocked the method or a process, and I'm sharing it with you. So you want to be able to sing it clearly, because if you do any of the hunt and pecking or the trial and error, you're going to get confused. And I find that when I get confused and I start making random noises on my instrument, it dissipates the mental musical image that I'm really hanging on to. So don't do that. Okay, now, the other prerequisite for doing this is knowing your major and minor scales on your instrument. You don't need to know all of them. You just need to know the ones that you're going to use. By getting the sound knowledge of the scales into your mind, you'll be able to quickly map what you hear and can produce with your voice onto the notes that you will play. And it eliminates so much guesswork. And to me, guesswork in this situation just leads to discouragement. Okay, with that out of the way, let's choose a key. Now, I sang today's model in the key of E flat, so let's go ahead and use that one. Now, the E flat major scale sounds like this. So that's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. It's a little bit out of my range there, except for the la. Now we're going to take out the fa, and we're going to take out the ti. And we're going to go do, re, mi, sol, la, sol, mi, re, do. We're going to take it down to la, sol, la, do. Notice I'm singing as I play. And now I'm going to think sol, la, do, re, mi. Now, of course, I'm kind of cheating because I wrote this and I know it really well. But let's say I don't know it. And so I think sol, la, do, sol, la, do. I know that this is so. I know that this is la. And I know that this is do. Sol, la, do. Now I can now go to do, re, mi. And now I've made the song so easy, because it has some repeating, right? Sol, la, do, re, mi, sol, la, do, re, do. And now I just walk up the scale. Sol, la, do, re, mi, sol, la. Sol, la, do, re, mi, sol, la. La, sol, mi. Now I know. La, sol, mi. Singing before I play. Mi, re, do, re, do. Mi, re, do, la, la, sol, la. Now, as I sing, I'm imagining the notes, so it makes it easier for me to play. Using my understanding of form, which is the study of same and different, I now can know that everything I just did happens again. Now, that seems like a small little thing, but the more you can notice patterns, big and small, the more you can eliminate a lot of the work. Just say, oh, I'm just going to do the thing I did again. So now we can think, sol, la, do, re, mi. Sol, la, do, re, do. Sol, la, do, re, mi, sol, la. La, sol, mi, sol, mi. Mi, re, do, re, do. Mi, re, do, la, la, so, do. Now, importantly, make sure that you do this nice and slow. And if you think that you need to bite off a lot, like the whole thing, see if it goes okay. But remember, we need to speak words before we can speak sentences. And so it's okay if you want to just totally zoom in on sol, la, do. Allow yourself that time so that these patterns and these sounds totally soak in. Because once you own them and really own them, you'll have them for life. Now, is there a song you love that you think might be in the pentatonic scale? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to know what you were listening to. Now, if this was helpful, please check out the resources over at tuneintogolearning.com and click the link in the description for a guide and sheet music to everything we discussed today. See you soon, and thanks for listening.